Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, and I'm here to talk about my latest thoughts on all the rumors, speculations, people's pipe dreams, etc., etc. It all has become exhausting in the past few days, and I'm just going to start with the name we've been talking about for seemingly eternity at this point, dating back to last season, Jacob Markstrom of the Calgary Flames. And I don't even know what to say here, guys, honestly. I told you guys he was my number one target for a variety of reasons. I thought he would be a true win-now type of move for this New Jersey Devils group. I didn't think he would come at a high cost in trade, and with $6 million per year for 2 years, with the possibility of the Flames retaining on him, bringing the cost down to the Devils and against their cap, I liked the move. I really did. Everyone knows last year, supposedly the deal was done, and the Flames owner nixed it at the last minute, and reports were that the owner did not want to retain salary on him, and that was their plan. And so that all fell apart. They pissed off Markstrom in the process. A complete media shit show, if you will, in Calgary, and Markstrom was furious. So obviously he played out the rest of the year in Calgary, and now we turn to the offseason, and it's pretty much clear that Jacob Markstrom will be shipped out of Calgary at some point. The question is to who and for what return. But it seems like Craig Conroy is really overplaying his hand here. And if I'm Tom Fitzgerald, I'm getting super close to the line of where I tell him to go himself. And see you later. I will move on to another opportunity and player because this is just being dragged out forever. Markstrom supposedly didn't want this to be a big thing in the media. It's obviously become that to the highest level. You know, talk about a on the down low type of trade. This is anything but that. This couldn't be more talked about on every program in Canada, and you see clips of it here on NHL Network, and you see all these things, and the taste in Markstrom's mouth right now is absolutely horrible. He's munching on a dog shit sandwich from Calgary, and it's time for Craig Conroy to make a move or not. As they say, shit or get off the pot. If I'm Tom Fitzgerald, I'm playing hardball, and I'm playing it soon. Conroy just thinks what he has in this guy. Markstrom, don't get me wrong, I would love to have him here, but now there's reports that he wants the 10th overall and another player, and it's just not going to happen. Even the 10th overall would be a complete joke to ask for in return. There was some rumors in the past couple days about sensible packages, including the 10th overall, where the Flames would maybe retain some salary and send a pick or players to the Devils with Markstrom to kind of balance it out, and I'm all for that. I told you guys I'm not attached to the 10th pick. I want win-now pieces, and so while I was very adamant against trading the number 10 pick overall for Markstrom, I would be perfectly fine with dealing it to get Markstrom as long as there was other things on the other side to balance it out in the form of retention, players, picks, whatever it is, something else there. I would have been perfectly fine with that. That was sensible to me. Seemed like it'd benefit both teams, and that's a deal I 100% would have went through with. However, now there was an NHL Network segment with this guy I never heard of before, Steve Koulis or something of that nature. Never heard of this guy before in my life, and he gets on TV the other day on NHL Network talking about how the Devils should trade Mercer, Shimo Nemec, or high picks to make the deal happen. It's like, where did they find this guy from? What was his criteria? I mean, my God, people make fun of YouTubers and people online writing articles and things of that nature. This guy's on NHL Network, and he's talking complete nonsense. In no scenario whatsoever is Tom Fitzgerald going to trade Dawson Mercer, Shimo Nemec, or high draft picks to get a 34-year-old goaltender in Markstrom. It's just ludicrous. I don't know if this guy, just got thrust into the segment and had to make something up on the spot and looked at the Devils roster. I don't really know where he came up with this. It's not based in fact. It's complete maniacal delusions, really. And I don't know, is he a paid shill of the Calgary Flames? Did Conroy grease the wheels and hit him off with a couple bucks to get him on TV to say this? It seems to me, when I analyze this whole thing now, Markstrom's going to be gone. He hates Calgary. He wants out. And now Conroy is playing pretty sleazy type games to try to drive the price up. It's all over the media. Markstrom probably continues to get more agitated by the day. And Conroy's acting as if he's in, the driver's seat on this. You don't have the upper hand, sir. I don't know when you're going to figure it out. Yes, there are several teams that want goalies, but that doesn't mean they're going to completely let you rob them of young, talented roster players or high picks to get Markstrom. He's 34. He has 2 years left. Ridiculous segment on NHL Network. I don't know how that guy was even on there, but yeah, I'm here to tell you guys, Fitzgerald's not that dumb. He's not going to trade Mercer, Nemitz, or high draft picks to get Markstrom. He will just move on. And at this point, I'm willing to move on from Markstrom, and I'm kind of over it now. This whole thing has been a complete debacle soap opera. It hasn't happened yet. It seemed like it was inevitable a couple days ago, and now it seems like we're back to square one with the bullshit. If I'm Fitzy, I'm saying, nice knowing you, Conroy. I'm on to the next one. And now the next one could be Linus Ullmark from the Boston Bruins. A lot of you have commented and messaged me that you guys are on board for Ullmark and you want him. I personally am not against Ullmark. I really am not. However, I have expressed my concern or concerns over the past few weeks for a variety of reasons. Number one, Ullmark never really has been the guy. He's been a backup. He's been in these tandem situations. I believe his career high is 49 games played with the Bruins, and he did win a Vezina a couple years ago on a great Bruins team, and he looked very sharp. But as we all know, he has had some playoff struggles. He was never able to wrestle the net away from Swayman, and it seems like if not this summer, I think it has to be this summer that they deal Ullmark. I just can't see that they won't. There's such a demand. I believe Ullmark's going to go this summer. It just makes too much sense. I would proceed with caution. If I'm Tom Fitzgerald, I'm definitely intrigued by the possibility. I'm inquiring on Ullmark. But for me personally, I think I would pass on Ullmark. But I'm not going to be mad if we get him. It's one of those things where I think it is a calculated gamble. It's not one that I would pull the trigger on if it was up to me. But if Fitzy does it, God bless and hope it works out. Ullmark is going to require more assets than Markstrom in a trade. So that could be potentially, again, we don't know, it's all speculation, but that could be something like the 10th overall pick and a guy like Holtz, or God forbid, a guy like Mercer. I mean, I think that'd be a super high price. I'm sure the Bruins are aiming for the stars and maybe settle a little bit lower. But I believe it would be the 10th pick and something else, whether that's a guy like Holtz, maybe a prospect, maybe another pick. I don't really know. I just do not think that the 10th overall alone will get it done for Ullmark. And I think it's going to be an expensive asset trade to get him here. And now, after we spend the assets to get him here, of course, he's going to need to be re-signed. And I'm assuming he's going to be looking for something like $6 million times 5 years. Something kind of in that stratosphere. A fat contract, a nice payday to set himself up for a future after hockey and to set his bloodline up for pretty much for life with a contract like that. And to me, that's a very high risk because now we're using our 10th pick and other pieces to get him here. And now we have to sign him to a lot of money. To me, it's a very high risk. I could be wrong. He could be everything that everyone hopes he is and what the Bruins are portraying him as. I am just a little squeamish on the idea of, bringing him in at that cost. It's going to be trade pieces and the money. And if he flops or doesn't work out the way we want him to, that's a deal that could hurt the team for a long time. And so I'm very skittish on that. I know a lot of you would still do it. And again, if they do it, I will not be upset. But to me, that's a calculated gamble. It's one that I'm not going to make, but maybe Fitz will. I don't know. Me personally, I've already said now, I'm personally over Markstrom. If we get him, great. But it just seems like Conroy's playing a bunch of games. I am now turning my focus solely to Brossoit from the Jets in free agency. Will cost us nothing in trade. We come with the checkbook. We sign Brossoit for a couple years, 2-3 years, whatever it is, as a stopgap. The same way I was planning to use Markstrom. He's here for a couple years. See what the young kids could come through the minor leagues and eventually take the reins when that contract is up. I would do the same thing with Brossoit. So you have a Brossoit-Allen tandem for the season coming up, and then maybe the year after you have Brossoit and Dawes or Brossoit and Schmid, possibly Poulter, who knows. But I think that's a great succession plan to kind of address goaltending for the next 5-7 years. You have a guy like Brossoit for a couple years, and then you hope one of the kids could take the net and run with it. We have all these goalies in the minors. No one's even talked really about Poulter too much. Poulter had a great playoff run for the Adirondack Thunder in the ECHL. I'm sure he will start next season in Utica and possibly fight for the starting spot. I think Poulter really could be a legitimate guy. And then we have other goalies like Jacob Malik and Tyler Brennan in the minors that could maybe surprise some people in a rookie camp or a training camp and kind of elevate themselves on the goalie depth chart as well. So we have tons of these guys. When people are like, I want a goalie for the long term, I understand all of that. I understand that thinking. But for me personally, I'm just looking to put this team in the best position to win right now. And I'm not worried about finding a goalie of the future to have for 7 or 8 years. I really am not. I'm fine with Ullmark, Markstrom, or a guy like Brossoit for 2 or 3 years. And then you have the succession plan with one of the kids. And if one of these kids aren't ready to pan out in another 2 or 3 years, then we need a full new scouting department. Because what are we talking about? As it stands right now, assuming Schmid is re-signed, you have Akira Schmid, Nico Dawes, Isaac Poulter, Jacob Malik, Tyler Brennan. That's 5 guys. Count them. 5 goalies. 5 young goalies. If one of those 5 guys is not ready to take an NHL starting role in 3 or 4 years, call it, then we need an entire new scouting department because they failed. If you go 0 for 5 and not one of those guys could be a starting goalie in the league in 3-4 seasons from now, then we failed miserably. And that's why I personally am not worried about the long-term fix today. I'm looking for a win-now goalie for the next 2 or 3 years, and then one of the kids will come behind and take the net. And I think one of those 5 guys absolutely will pan out. We're talking about 5 guys. It's not just putting all your eggs in one basket and hoping for one guy. We have 5 potential guys to come up and take the spot, and I believe one of them will pan out. And so I'm not worried. I'm fine with if the Markstrom thing pans out for a couple of years, I'm fine with that. If it ends up being Brossoit, I'm fine with that as well. Ullmark obviously is a little bit of a longer-term solution if we do land him, and then one of those kids would likely come and be the backup for a few years at some point of that deal. But again, lots of stuff up in the air. And moving on from goaltending, it then has come out in the past day or so that Patrik Laine and the Columbus Blue Jackets are headed for divorce. Laine's time in Columbus seemingly over, and now Patrik Laine's agent and the team will work together in unison to find Patrik Laine a new home. And now I've seen articles and tweets and things like that out there talking about the Devils and Laine, whether fans would be for or against it. I'm here to tell you right now, if I'm Tom Fitzgerald, I'm absolutely calling Columbus just to inquire. Am I dead set on Patrik Laine? Absolutely not. However, at the right price, I certainly would be. What does that price look like? I don't exactly know, but I will tell you my interest in Patrik Laine coming to the Devils. The conversation starts at retention. He's making $8.7 million for the next 2 years. I am not interested in him at all at that dollar figure. However, if Columbus is willing to retain some salary, whether that's $2, $3 million, maybe even more if you're super lucky. I don't see them retaining more than that, honestly. But, you know, I've seen people talk about all different scenarios. But Patrik Laine with retention, I certainly would be interested. And I would see what Columbus wants from him. Now, these are kind of high-risk, high-reward type moves. Laine kind of has a checkered past. He's dealing with some personal issues. He never really fit in. There's a whole lot of things with him. However, when he's on top of his game, he is a lethal sniper. He's a big boy. I believe he's 6'5". I like it. I like the move at the right price. Again, what is the price? I don't know. But if we can pick him up at a discount, that is the type of move I would love to see the team make. I really would. If Columbus is willing to retain some of his contract and we could get him without giving up really any key assets, I would be all for it. And so I think if you're Tom Fitzgerald and you are trying to be good at your job, you do your due diligence, you call Columbus, and you kind of kick the tires a little bit and see what will it cost to get him here. Again, I have no interest in Laine without retention. Let me get that straight. At $8.7 million, I have no interest in him whatsoever. But the reality is Columbus likely will have to retain some salary on him to move him to a new destination. And now that it's in the media that he wants out, it could be a buyer's market on him. So I am willing to roll the dice a little bit at the right price with some retention and take a chance on a guy like Laine. I think he could be a great reclamation project. Kid has a lethal shot, could be good on the power play. He does bring some size. Maybe he could grow into a little bit more feistier of a guy than he is now. But while he wasn't on my board of a guy to target this summer, at the right price, I would love Laine. I really would. And maybe he could kind of rejuvenate his career here. A change of scenery has done wonders for guys throughout sports history, not just hockey. And this could be one of those things where a fresh start for him once again in a new city with new teammates. Maybe Sheldon Keefe could beat him in line and kind of get him where he needs to be. A lot of question marks surrounding him, but I do like buying a piece like him on the cheap and hoping he becomes what we need him to be. I'm definitely calling if I'm Fitz. We'll be curious to see how that plays out, where Laine may end up. But if I'm Fitz, I'm 100% calling and seeing what it would take. One of the biggest kind of things that scares me about Laine is he does seem like a little bit of a head case, and that's fine. There's guys on every team in all sports that kind of need to be corralled or kind of, managed maybe a little bit more differently than the rest of the guys. That is where, because our team is so young, that's the only thing that scares me about a guy like Laine, because he does seem like he's kind of a little bit off the reservation and he might need some of that tough love. And right now, I don't believe we have those guys in the locker room that could do that. You know, on some of the old school Dynasty Devils teams, they were veterans up and down the lineup where you could kind of bring in a kid like that and he's going to fall in line because there's legends, longtime vets that'll kind of make sure he does what he's supposed to do and hold him accountable. I don't know that we have those guys on this lineup right now. I do believe the roster overall is kind of immature, and I'm hoping that kind of culture could shift in time under Keefe, maybe with some new players brought in via trade or free agency, a little more veteran, responsible type winners. I think a lot of people thought we were getting that with Palat, but he's only one guy. So I think that's a little bit hard in terms of, you know, keeping people accountable. But at the right price, I absolutely like Laine, which brings me on to another pipe dream. Again, the title of this video is, you know, rumors, speculation, pipe dreams. So I'm just doing a little bit of everything here, just thinking out loud with all this stuff. So we talked about the goalies. We talked about the Laine name. Another guy with a lot of question marks and uncertainty is Steven Stamkos, NHL living legend, captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And guys, I don't know what exactly is going on here. It seems to me, if I had to speculate, that the Tampa Bay Lightning are kind of playing games. I think they know Stammer wants to stay in Tampa Bay. I think the Lightning want Stammer in Tampa Bay, but I think they want to get him maybe at a bigger discount than Stammer would like to give them. In a head-scratching move, they brought McDonough back in trade a few weeks back, tightening up their cap space even more. So it's super interesting to see. A lot of people in the media are speculating that Stammer will be back. But, I mean, guys, we're now about 2.5 weeks away from July 1st, the golden day when free agency begins. And if the Lightning don't have a deal worked out with Steven Stamkos prior to free agency opening on July 1, I promise you there'll be no less than probably 6 to 12, maybe more, GMs blowing up Stamkos' agent phone to kind of gauge the situation and see what he's trying to do. I love Stammer. I've loved him since he's been in the league. He's a veteran. He's a winner. He has the mean streak. I believe he is more of a throwback player than a lot of the guys in the league now. And I would absolutely love a guy like Steven Stamkos on this New Jersey Devils group. Again, I just think a guy like that will kind of force everyone to elevate their game. And I think he'll hold guys accountable, which is, you know, one of the biggest things I think looming over this Devils group. And so with a very, by and large, young, inexperienced group, I think a guy like Stammer could do wonders on and off the ice for them. And if he makes it to free agency, I pray that Tom Fitzgerald is calling his agent just to feel it out. Steven Stamkos has made an utter fortune in the NHL. Don't get it twisted. $100 million plus career earnings. He is set for life. There is nothing to worry about if you're Steven Stamkos and probably the next 10 to 12 generations of Stamkos. But how much does Steven Stamkos want to win another cup versus get paid? I personally would like to believe, because of the type of guy that Stamkos appears to be, that he does care about winning, and he might, you know, put that slightly above his want to get a few extra $1 million on a deal. So with all of that being said, if Stamkos does move on from the Lightning, I would expect him to want to go to a contending team. Now, my biggest fear is that he just, after all this, he just says, screw it, I want to go play in Toronto, and signs like a super team-friendly deal for like a few $1 million a season. I don't think that'll happen, but it's something that has crossed my mind. Like, you know, a guy at his stage of his career, he really, depending on what his salary demands are, I would imagine at the right price, almost every single team in the league would be interested in him. And so I do think if he does get to free agency, he will have a lot of opportunity in front of him to go play for different teams and with different cast of players. I would hope, again, at that point, that he would see the New Jersey Devils as a destination to give him a true chance at winning another cup in, say, the next 3 years. I don't know what he's going to be looking for. He's, I think, 35 years old now, or 34. But he probably will be looking for at least a 2 or 3 year deal. Again, at the money is a huge question mark. He was very productive last season. He's 34 years old. He had 81 points in 79 games played last season, or this season. Wow. Over a point per game at age 34. Steven Stamkos is nothing short of remarkable. And should he hit free agency, Tom Fitzgerald should certainly be inquiring to see what it would take to get him here, because I think he'd be a great fit. I really do. I think he would do a lot for the squad. And I would love to see it. Anytime you could get a proven winner at the international level, he's got 2 cups. A guy like Stammer, they don't come around too often, and I would love to see him end his career as a New Jersey Devil, win a cup with this group, and further cement his legacy in NHL history. To have 2 cups with one franchise and a cup with another, and at age 30, he'd be 35 at that point of the playoffs next season or beyond, maybe even 36. I mean, that's legendary stuff. And so I would hope Fitz could put on a great presentation and really want to get him here. Again, this is speculation. Most people seem to believe him and Tampa Bay are going to work it out. But the only thing that I question is, well, if you're going to work it out, why is it coming down, to so late before free agency? If I'm Steven Stamkos, it would definitely leave a sour taste in my mouth. And I believe I've seen some interviews or things with him, mid-season when the contract situation was brought up. It seemed like he was a little put off by it. He's given everything to the city of Tampa Bay and the franchise. He's brought them to the top of the mountain, 2 cups. And, a guy like him, maybe you feel some type of way that this has been dragged out so long they didn't take care of you immediately. Sports is a business. Once in a while we get these situations where the ugly side of the business rears its ugly head, and this could end up in a bitter divorce, and I am certainly hoping that it does. Steven Stamkos to the New Jersey Devils would be probably the second most exciting move for me that could happen, while it's unlikely. And the only one that would make me more excited than getting Stammer this summer is the super unlikely. We've talked about it till the ends of the earth, is obviously Brady Tkachuk. You guys know how I feel about Brady. I think that's an immediate, high impact organizational change, culture shift, everything and more. I do think Brady Tkachuk kind of just shocks new life into the whole team, but that's super highly unlikely, it seems, at this juncture for this offseason. And if the Senators miss the playoffs next year under Travis Green, I believe those chatters get even louder, and I do think Brady demands out next summer. And maybe we have a chance to revisit it. It's unfortunate because we have tons of pieces with the 10th pick in this year's draft, so it seems like the table was set perfectly for us to make a real play to try to grab him this summer. But if he's not available, he's not available, guys, And Steo said he's not available, so if Steo said he's not available, don't talk about it. Internet trolls, man. Wow, the Senators' fan base is just so sensitive. But let me know what you guys think about all this. I mean, the Markstrom talk is just dragged out. It's been dragged out so damn long now. I'm pretty much over it. Fitzy just needs to tell Conroy, see you later, pal. I'm not playing your games. You're trying to put things out through the media to drive up interest and drive up the price. That idiot on NHL Network, not based in reality whatsoever. Those packages are absolutely not happening. Sorry to disappoint you Flames fans. But let me know. A lot of you guys are still hot on Ullmark. Throw it out there in the comments. What do you guys think about Laine? I think that'll be a very controversial one. I've seen a lot of people on both sides of the fence. Again, I'm all about getting Laine at the right price. You bring him in for not a lot of pieces going the other way, and with salary retention, I would love to move. I would love to take a gamble on the reclamation project. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about Laine, Ullmark, all these other things. Do you guys think Stammer stays in Tampa Bay, or do you think he's going to head to free agency and see where he ends up? It's all very interesting stuff. I look forward to seeing how it all shakes out, but watching these clips and reading these articles about the Devils and Markstrom over the past few days has just been honestly exhausting. I'm exhausted by it. What a saga. And it's not even, it's not even that big of a name player or, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I would love to have him, but this is it's just too much for what it is. Way too much. Calgary is delusional. But throw it all out in there in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think about the finals. I haven't talked about the finals too much. I'm hoping for the Oilers to make a miraculous comeback, but the Panthers look like that team. And, Sergei Bobrovsky, shout out to Bob, 35 years old in net. For all those of you that are scared so much by Markstrom's age of 34, Bob is 35 years old, getting it done. Almost at the doorstep of winning a Stanley Cup. But throw it all out there in the comments. I'll be back soon. Hopefully the saga ends soon. We get some closure one way or another and get a goalie before the draft. And maybe we'll end up drafting with the pick at this point. It probably seems like the most likely at this point. And I know that'll make a lot of you happy too. And I guess we'll see where we end up from here. I will talk to you all soon. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.